All right, good night. So we live. Look like I'm watching the end of the game. I really had this live scheduled for 8:45, but thank God I pushed it back a little bit because this game's still going on and it's 9 o'clock. The referee is still playing plenty time, but that's good. Let the game play out. So I'm supposed to be joined tonight by Vasine, and I know that he is on watching the game too because we were talking in the chat. And just waiting for this game to finish. Really looking to see if Central could do something, but probably not. That's probably the end of it right there. This is 99th. Yeah, 99th minute of play, and it's still going on. A bit confused as to how the referee allowing so much. So tonight we're just talking really about the TTPFL. As it looks, the Defense Force will be taking the title tonight. And I think it's a good point where we could really kind of look back at how the league went, to see what really took place. This game, again, still hasn't closed off. We're close to 100 minutes. I can't remember us having all that extra time now. Really and truly, you're supposed to play 30 seconds for every substitution. There were a lot of substitutions in the second half. So the ref probably taking all that into account. But we're waiting to see. This game, I really didn't think it would have go on 100 minutes. I spoke to Vasine and he said definitely we should push back the start till 9 p.m. And I'm really glad that I did because if I didn't push it back to 9 p.m., I'd have been here about 15 minutes ago just kind of talking to myself. So, again, we're still watching. We're at 100th minute now according to the link that I'm seeing. And I'm not sure why, but they're allowing it still. They're letting the game go on, and I don't know. I don't know if the referee remember to blow the whistle, but it's still quite long. See this corner. If that corner, if they'd make something out of it, it would have been bacchanal. Hmm. Oh, and we still playing. Hmm. All I would say is well done, defense force, because I think even at the end of it, you all will be taking the title. Whether it's tonight, yes or no, it definitely looks like tonight. Yeah, I watching this and I can't believe this thing's still going on at 100 minutes. I don't. Oh, it looked like it finally done there. Or is it? Yeah, it looked like it finished in there. Well done, defense force. Well done, well done, well done. Really proud to see that they went on and they took the league. They took the league by storm, basically. They had, well, I mean, they still have a couple games, and who knows, since they win the league now, they might play some of the um, backup players, I guess, let them get run out. Yeah, of course, Denzel Theobald, besides screaming for the entire game, I mean, obviously, I'm saying that jokingly, right? Besides screaming for the entire game, he definitely has a well working machine. We see the quality, we see that um, what they've been doing, even in some situations where you thought he may have coached differently. You saw second half, he brought on a lot of attacking options in that game. So, really, really good, I have to say. Um, didn't expect that, but Glad that he went on and did what he did. And he played solid, yeah. And you always see new messages and things coming up on the feeds that showing that the work that they're putting in the background. So as the old adage says, hard work definitely pays off. And you saw that was the case tonight throughout the entire season actually. They just had two times that they dropped points. They didn't lose, but they just dropped points. CONCACAF. Now, I want to speak a little bit about that. And I have a little bit of a concern there because even tonight, at least when we saw the first half, we saw that again, playing them high, playing them fast, they kind of looked a little bit out of it. No, rightfully so, they made changes in the second half and came out with the win. But if you remember, the two times that they drew games, that was the problem. And we saw Central. Central is a team that definitely Everseen's supposed to be coming on soon. He was just waiting for the end of the game, so hoping to see him on soon. Central is a team that we saw moving real quick on the counter, transition the ball very fast, three three touches, and they back up in the next half, and it kind of had defense force a little out of play. Even the commentators were saying it, and you saw it. Molino had to be dropping. Excuse me. Molino had to be dropping more than he was supposed to really be dropping deep, and he was kind of outside in the first half. But again, credit to defense force, they made the changes in the second half, which really made the difference this time. So we saw that they are able to be a little more flexible in that sense. Yeah, the league. I didn't understand how it reached the 10 minutes of extra time though. I a little bit confused about that, but because that referee definitely the way she plays, she allows a lot. So it's not like it had 100 stoppages and plenty things going on that would have caused the game to stop. The only thing I could have thought of is the amount of substitution. She just add 30 seconds to every substitution. But it was good. It was end to end football. It was um as Abu Bakr would have said, really a tale of two halves because Central played a lot stronger in the first half. And as I say, the defense force team was kind of out of it, waiting on the ropes, basically waiting for halftime. And then second half they made changes, and then we saw Central was completely out of it, and defense was dominated, and defense was scored. We've seen Justin Garcia score goals like that for the national team. We know that he does it for the club, and again he did it for the club. So when you look back at it, you would see that I think it's Jesse Williams who was a little late, and he was just able to rise before Jesse Williams and to head it home. And that was kind of the difference here. That was the 3 points. But all in all, these two teams, I don't know if anybody thought about that. These two teams are number one and number two. So guess what? They would be the ones that representing us in the CONCACAF. So good speech. Yeah, just kind of waiting on Vecina. I ain't sure where he is as yet. I don't know if he the excitement and he had to go to the washroom, whatever I can say. And I'm not gonna speculate, right? But still waiting on him because he told me that he is coming on tonight. Um, as I say, Abu Bakr kind of saved the commentary tonight because I'm not too sure exactly who's the initial commentator, but he had a lot of wrong information. He's been doing that throughout the entire season, actually. And we saw that they're stepping up their game. He got Abu Bakr, who was able to sound like an actual commentator to give information. Oh, I didn't hear Denzel Theobald's speech. Sorry, I just came on here. I saw it on TV, but I had it low, so I probably had to go and listen back to that actually. Um, but I could only imagine what he would say and how he credits his team. Um, yeah, as I say, I don't know who's the initial commentator, but all his information is be wrong. When Rion Moore was coming on, he said Rion King. So I studying, am I watching cricket or watching football? He giving us set wrong information, calling wrong names. To me, he sounded like if you remember years ago when probably West Indies playing Australia playing teams and we weren't able to see it, but you're hearing it on radio and you're listening to a commentator who feel that he have to speak at every single moment to let you get the perfect picture of what taking place. He seems to be that kind of commentator that he just wants to say something to say that, yeah, boy, I really commentating. But we see in the game. So let the game show us. You could talk in between when you have an actual point to give, or when you actually have information that beneficial. You don't just have to say because somebody kicked the ball, you have to say something. No, I can't honestly say that I know how to pronounce her name either, but I think it's Koreat, and I think that's what he said too. But if it's not that, then I am all mistaken. But I think is Koreat. But yeah, really and truly, hey, let me reach out to Vicina and see where he is, because we waiting to have some conversation here. So thanks everybody for coming on, and thanks for sharing this live with me and well, eventually Vicina. um, so I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about the league. Basically done. It have a couple of games on the back end where can I be jockeying for position. Unfortunately, I thought AC would have gone into third place yesterday, but they didn't. So I really hoping that they make third place still because I like AC Portersville team. I know a couple of the players and I really want them to advance. Not at the expense of others, but we know these two going through. And so when is the CONCACAF Cup draw? That's an excellent question. I don't know as yet, simply because I think the JPL still have their knockout phase to play. And I was talking to one of the players. I don't know if you want me to let you know who he is, yes or no. And he was saying that their league is not as simple as ours, where we have positions and then we have a second, and then we have the separate cup. Their knockout cup is also for top four places, top three places. And no matter what happened in the league with the JPL, they still have to play that, and their top three from the knockout is who would actually make it to the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup. So, in a sense, their tournament still going on. Right, yeah, they have a championship playoff round. So I think first and second, it kind of like IPL. First and second would come in. I think first automatically qualifies. Second meet somebody in the semis, and well, I think third and fourth eventually have a playoff. But the top six teams have to play. I sure I get that wrong, but it's something like that. But all in all, they will not finish as yet JPL, so we probably have to wait on that. Yeah, Vasine, I waiting for you to jump on the live with me, and I see you're talking in the chat. You had to click on the link I sent you on StreamYard and jump in. Oh, you was waiting to talk. Listen to Denzel. Yeah, I didn't think I know we say we started at 9, so I wanted to jump on. No, no, you still in the chat on YouTube. I not seeing you come on StreamYard yet to add. Remember the link I would have sent you? You have to jump in there and that will bring you into StreamYard. Sorry that we're talking behind the scene conversation there. People's Clinton, my problem is by the time the CFU comes around, our players are not active. Well, I wouldn't say that. Um, because we still have 4 weekends in this league again. I mean, yes, the tournament finish in terms of Defense Force win, but we still have 4 weekends, and we are the start of March. May, sorry, we in the start of May, so that'll be the start of June. So it pretty close. Oh, it's similar to the Greek league setup, but okay, I wasn't too aware of that. We'll see. Let me know if you're getting through or if I need to send you back the link. Yeah, I sent you the link via email, but don't worry, I'll send it. I'll send it again. Um, where did I send that? Okay, hold on. You ever seen? I'm going to send it again here. Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. That happens. I sent it. I really hoping that you get through. I would see if you. Let me know if you get it, yes or no. Yeah. So as we mentioned, Greek. I reached out to Judah Garcia today, and he told me that the B team that he was playing with, that there you are. Let me add it to the stage.
Sorry, boss. I was checking FB, not Hotmail. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's going on?
no
You
worries.
guys moving?
Yeah, so again, we're just kind of talking a little bit about the league that will obviously finish now, but we still have some games. I wanted to talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and the indifferent of the league. I know you, you definitely speak a lot about the league. What do you think has been good with the league this year?
Right. Sorry, there was like the voices were overlapping there, but basically, you want to know what I think was good about the league.
Yes, this year.
Well,
Yeah.
delayed reaction. I don't know if you're getting it on your end. I get a delayed reaction with the sound. Anyway, let me just say I missed most of the first half of the league because of this damn sports maps and PFN. Quality of the league was much better. If you followed it in the first and second year, sometimes the quality was just horrible. But if you look at the top 7, 8 teams, they're very competitive. If you look at the last 4 teams, especially in the second round of this league, this season, they have become a lot more competitive.
Right.
Not in the first 2 years. Central was a punching bag. Samoa had to leave the league. The connection had to leave the league. Caledonia just wasn't doing well. The second half of last year's season, they started to do better, bringing in players. You know, Eagles was giving you a surprise, Prisons was giving you a surprise, Phoenix was giving you a surprise. But the general quality of the league was not amazing, except for the top 3 teams, maybe 4. Much, much better this season. Much better.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Are you seeing the comments that
No, I'm not
people?
seeing any comments. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Somebody
But
say
for
like,
now, what?
yeah, somebody say like you're using dial up. That is how you getting all that background noise and whatever. But no, because I not hearing anything, and I actually listen to it on my I listened to it on my computer, and I'm not hearing any issues. But yes, as you say, I never used to really take on the league that much last couple of years. I think I saw where you spoke about it, and I was like, you know what? Let me start looking at the league. And yeah, I was really impressed. I was really impressed. As I say, top four, top five, definitely solid. I mean, the others still have plenty of work to do, but we definitely have a product. So now I would ask you, what do you think I don't like to use the word bad, but what do you think could definitely improve in the league moving forward? And again, this is also for people who in the chat you want to just drop a comment also. Please let me know what you think could have been done differently or
Boss,
what.
I am so sorry. Your voice, I getting sound, overlapping sound. Did I really have dialogue? I'm going to sign out and come back in.
Okay, okay. So I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why he hearing it like that because I'm not hearing it like that. And again, I check in on my phone just to be on YouTube and all, and I'm not hearing it like that. So hopefully he gets a better connection and joins us again. Um. Oh yeah. So somebody asked, what were you saying about Judah? Right. So I'll come back to your point just now, Ismail. I spoke to Judah, and he said that the B League that they're playing in, that the B League is. You hear me better now?
Okay, let me check myself. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you hearing me?
And I'm hearing you perfectly.
Okay, cool.
And you hearing
Um,
me, right?
yes, yes, I am.
I think I know what the problem was. I think I had it our YouTube channel on and your channel on. And I didn't realize, hey, what you gonna do? All
Yeah, that
right.
happens. That
I
happens.
ain't hearing myself
So
at all, but if you all hearing me, that's all I want to know. You
yeah,
had a
yeah.
question. If you want, go ahead and ask it.
Right. So before I come to that part of the question, somebody asked because I was mentioning something about Judah Garcia just now. So I spoke to Judah Garcia today, and he said that the B League that he was playing in that's finished, and he has been brought onto the A team because they have a next couple of games. So I'm
Okay.
hoping that for AEK we may see him um debut for the A team soon. Yeah. So I was asking now, Vasin, some of the things that you think could definitely be improved in our league.
Well, how much time you have? All right. First of all, there have been scenarios more than once, fellas, where teams show up for a game and nobody know what they're doing there because nobody knew they were supposed to have a game at that particular grounds.
Hmm.
Okay? It has happened at various grounds throughout the country. And they had to stand up outside and wait and hope that somebody could figure this stuff out. So that is one area in which we need to improve. Another area, I guess, is the government is giving disbursements and so on. Players need to be paid on time. I don't know about prize money. I'm assuming it's paid on time because it was a problem in the past. But players need to be paid on time. You know what happened with the Seaport Spain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think we can all agree we need to play more football in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. And
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody can explain to me why one year season started in September, the next year the season started in October. I think this season started in December. Am I right? Was it December?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
What going on? When we might start the following season next year, right? So we need to have more football. I mean, I realize we only have so many pro clubs, but we have the FA Cup, we have the League Cup, and maybe we could come up with a tournament, take the top four teams, invite some Caribbean teams, have a quasi Caribbean tournament.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
maybe we could have some zonal football with the A and B teams. So more players get involved, a higher level of quality. Players don't fall through the cracks and so on. But we just need more football in Trinidad and Tobago. I think we had a problem a few years back. We were playing at international, and they were saying that these players hadn't played in a while because the season over.
Yeah.
If you all guys remember Ian Closel, the legend from the 70s, I did an article with him. Some years back, I spoke to him, and his son had gone to France. I don't know where he is these days, but Jem or Shem Closel, he was with Defense Force for a while. I don't know where he is now. And he said they liked him, but he just needed to play more football. He wasn't playing enough football. We
Right.
need more football in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
And they need to create additional tournaments.
That's good. That's a good point. Um, so one being more football. I saw somebody put in the comments, Ismail, he said the grounds. Obviously, some games we play on decent grounds. Even this ground tonight, which was police by barracks, it wasn't the best. And if we're really trying to sell or market our product, I think we need to do a little bit better there. Speaking in terms of marketing, I tried to look up at our clubs, the different clubs and their pages. That is a travesty. I see some clubs. last updated 2021, some 2022, and trying to find young players. The reason I was looking at that is because I wanted to ask, and I saw somebody mention it in the game itself. Kevin Woodley still playing. So, to you, do you think our league is now a developmental league, or is it a retirement league? In your opinion?
I like your expressions. I'll be honest with you. I never use those words, but as you put it that way, I think it's a little bit of both, and I'll tell you why. Um, if you guys go back to the original league we had in 2001, it started off well. We had good quality bowlers, and I put this in my videos a couple months back. A number of factors have led to us being what you just said there. Okay, and one is when teams were not getting their prize money, it affected them.
Right.
Okay, you cannot in Toronto be losing $250,000, $500,000 and not getting the gate. You cannot survive. 1 second. Yes.
How's it now?
Everything is fine. I'm doing a live thing here. Okay, no problem. Okay. What are you going to do in your house, eh?
Yeah.
Electricity went off in our part of the building, but yeah, no good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
that
anyway,
happened.
as we were saying, you cannot be losing your money. Two, the better players will always go off to Europe or where there's more money. So really, we are nothing on our best day. We're like a second or third tier, more like third tier league in England, where the better players obviously want to aspire to a higher level of football and more money. You can't
Right.
blame a man leaving Trinidad for 8 and 10,000 US or more. So I think those two factors have mitigated the quality of our league. And I've said it in the past. What we need is a bit of this thing about communities trying to be pro clubs. It ain't good enough. It's like me pumping up and thinking I'm going to miss the universe. It ain't happening. And
Right.
they have
Right.
a called ebb and flow. Samoa Jablity is a perfect example. At times Samoa doing amazing things. And some like last year they had to leave the league because they could not get proper sponsorship. We need what I would call a sugar daddy, or what you see it anywhere in around the world where a business person, man or woman, has the pockets to handle pro football and subsidize the club and pay the players well. When I was a youngster, maybe older than somebody, was a fellow called Arthur Sweet, who had ASL. I don't know if you ever heard of them. He had about 7 national players on the side. He brought down the best of the best guys. And 1 year, I saw World Cup club champions Flamingo with Zico, Eder, Unio. The next month or two, I see Paulista Corinthians with the Brazilian captain, Socrates, right?
Okay.
Then I saw Arsenal. Then I saw Manchester. All of this in 1 year. He had the money to selling out the national stadium. Men used to sit on the stairs. There was not enough room in the national stadium.
Right.
Tottenham Hotspur and all of this. So we need guys with money who could say, I could handle football. You don't have to worry about money. And by Trinidad standards, you can get $8,000 to $12,000 a month, maybe more. And at least encourage them not to run off that second division in Central America or Mexico or something. So until that happens, until all these factors come into play, we have what you have just said. And I would like to see the government just step forward and just offer a good first, second, and third prize.
Mm-hmm.
At least the clubs have some money to spend. Because with all due respect to the sponsors, thank you for what you did, but $150,000 and nothing. You can't do that. Nothing with that.
True. The reason I asked that, obviously yesterday they said that Darrell Zoom Zoom Garcia didn't play because he's out on a trial.
Right.
I reached out to somebody that I know, and they said that this trial that he is on is because the club sent him for it. So there's an agent or somebody working with the club and sent him out. Previously, it was on his own and the coaching school that he was with. So, and I mean, I know we should have more of that happening, but then we also, on the back end, most of our defenders for most of the clubs are the older players who may have gone out and come back. You see people like Michael Williams, you see some of the older players captaining the sides and playing in the back. So that's the reason that kind of came up. I was looking to see how many young players we actually have, and that brought me to the pages. And as I say, you're getting no information on the pages. Somebody asked me to ask you, how far do you think Defence Force could actually go in the Caribbean Cup? You give your 2 cents, and then I would give my 2 cents.
Thank you. If you look at the last 2 years, Defence Force was not outplayed. It's a matter of finishing a little better here. I mean, they were not outplayed. They were never manhandled. They were never overwhelmed. Yeah. And it was just a matter of finishing a little better, a little bad luck, But that was a lot upsetting to me because, again, I am accustomed to Trinidad clubs walking through a CFU tournament. And I said, we are the champions. I think we have to accept 2 things. One, the quality of football is rising throughout the Caribbean. The
Yeah.
Martinicans and Guadeloupeans can play. The Jamaicans obviously have a better system than us.
Hmm.
Two, our pro football, our football level, not right now, we started from scratch and we are slowly rising. This year has been a much better year. Yes, on Defense Force is undefeated, but as we just saw in this match, Defense Force has to work for it. This is very important. So they don't go into the tournament with a false sense of their abilities.
Yeah.
No delusions about how good they really are. They had to work for it. If they had to work for it, it makes them a better team. And what I see with Defense Force is depth. When a man like Shaq Bertrand on the bench or Hitlal on the bench starting, I know this team has depth, which is a very good thing.
Yeah.
How far? You ask a good question. I think we could win it, but it's not a guaranteed. But I mean, it's not impossible either. We could not nobody in the Caribbean better than Defense Force. On the best days, Jamaicans is as good as.
True.
But it's
True.
a little. I mean, look at with Central today. Central had finished a little better. They didn't have to lose that game. It's all about finishing.
Yeah. So I have a little different opinion, and this would have come from the two draws that I saw that they had so far in the season.
Right.
I see the high press football and the physical football giving them a bit of a challenge, obviously. That's why they drew those two games. And I'm thinking of Caribbean teams. That is the style of football that they play all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So twice we saw that Defense Force stumbled with that. Tonight, at least in the first half, the quick transition of Central had them a little bit out of shape. Kevin Molino was all over the place, but we saw that they recovered in the second half. So I I'm hoping that they make it out of the group, but I am a bit skeptical. But that's just my take on it. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody asked, what did they ask? Oh yeah, no, somebody said Jesse Williams now back in Trinidad. Yeah, he's Trinidad level right now. Yeah, he again, as you would have said, some people go outside and for some reason they come back. We see Rian Moore back after playing in Canadian Premier League, and maybe just to settle themselves a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, Abubakar did really well with the commentary though.
Yes.
I think he saved the save the commentator because and I know you may know the commentator because plenty
No,
times you say oh you don't.
no, I don't know him.
Oh, okay. Because plenty times you say something like one week you say, "Well, we get some lineups now," and then the next week you see the lineups.
I think they listen. No, they're listening. They're listening. The
Oh,
guy
okay,
who
okay,
runs
yeah.
Wave TV sent me one or two messages saying we saw what you said and we working
Oh,
on this. We are aware of it. And honestly, it's just common sense I'm talking from. So I
right,
know
right, right,
Wave. This is why Wave is running an ad on my book. I never asked Wave for that, but Wave sees my videos.
right.
And I guess in the videos, besides PFL, I mentioned Wave. And I guess they appreciate the fact that the league has been promoted. So I guess as a thank you, I didn't ask for it, and I really am complaining. They,
Okay, okay,
they
okay.
promoted my
Yeah,
book every football match. No, I don't know it, but what I liked about these two commentators is that they complemented each other. One kind of a grassroots, one kind of smooth and cultured, but they're both making good football points. Eh? And let's
true,
face it, if
true.
you know Abu Bakr, you know he's played a good level of football.
Correct. Yeah. And based on, I think something the commentator said, it sounds like he's moving into football and at a different level. Could be refereeing, could be um managing, coaching something. So it sounds like he learned and he's learning in the background also, right? Somebody said one team to watch out for in the Caribbean is CIBAO. How do you pronounce that? Cibo, Cabo, Cibo from Dominican Republic. They were the team that lost last year to Cavaliers. So again, a good point. I remember looking at their football, high energy, very intense football. So that is kind of to the point of I hope Defense Force makes the right adjustments to be able to handle that. So
Well, I'm
that's a good
sure.
point.
What's his name again? Bleeder. What's his blind name again? Is it?
Denzel Theobald.
Bad with names, Dread. Yeah, Bleeder. I want to say two things about Bleeder as we bring him. I'm sure he will do his homework. Any proper coaching staff would do their homework. I want to tell you something about Bleeder. I am not just me. A lot of people couldn't understand how he used to be starting for Trinidad all the time. But every coach seemed to like him, and they used to start him regular.
Yes.
But I like Bleeder. Let me tell you why I like this fella. He's a feel-good story about football. He come from the ghetto area. He come from Laventille, but he never let the ghetto get the better of him. He said in an interview once, he said, I was brought up a certain way. We were meant to read books at home. Everybody was called sir and ma'am and so on. He used football. He elevated himself to another level. He played abroad, and now he's doing well as a football coach, very well. And you
Hmm.
can see how he conducts himself with character, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah,
is a feel good story. A man who took football and dragged himself out to the ghetto and did well for himself. You can't help but like the guy and hope he continues to do well.
yeah, 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 yeah. All the best to Denzel and his team. Somebody asks, who are some players you all want to see in the league? Hmm.
You mean players already in the league, or what are we talking about? Can we
Who
swim
are
more?
Jason? If you could give a little bit more explanation to your question, I don't know if it's yeah, because it actually have two sides to that. Um, so I would actually start by saying I like that they are giving young players straight out of school, and there are some players who still in school who actually getting the opportunity to play in a professional league. Um, I definitely want to see more of that. Guys who come in, right? So he's asking about youth players in Trinidad.
Okay. Well, you're quite right about what you just said, and this is common sense. For years, the league has been trying to encourage the SFL stars. Look, it holding you back. You need to join with a club. You need to play with a club because when you hit the youth teams from the other countries, those fellas 5 years ahead of you. What you
Yeah.
doing at 18, they were doing at 13, right? And so right now they're doing it as you see. The fellow he is with I believe it's AC Port is Spain. Chiefs. Am I correct? Am I getting
Yes.
that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Chiefs
Michael
is with
Chiefs. Yeah.
there. Um, Garcia and Sween is with Samuel.
Hmm.
There is a boy, I think it's a white boy from Fatima. I think he's with Queen's Park. But I forget the man name again. If anybody could want to correct me, go ahead and tell me. But he's our next good one. He was with the Fatima team that played last year. And these fellas are being fast tracked. Now, usually fellas from the prestige schools, they might kind of deviate a bit and go to college. But I see them being fast tracked. And I want to say about Chiefs, he had a broken leg. He came back. He wasn't looking that amazing at first, but the last two games, they're starting to see the old Chiefs.
Yeah.
The little
Yeah.
bit of
Yeah.
feel,
Yeah.
the little bit of subtle touch. And I am so glad. Because if you guys remember Ngozi Blackburn, he was a prodigy. He signed with Man United, broke his leg shortly after in a car accident in Trinidad. His career never proceeded after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's common sense to put your star boys. Jehu Foston, right? He would be about 19. He is Marvin Foston's son against Asamo. I saw him 2 years ago at 17. I was like, oh Lord, this boy good. He went last year with some American lower league. He come back now. He's with
Right.
Samoa. To be honest with you, I find he looked better 2 years ago than he looked now. But again, these are the young prodigies. These fellas going somewhere in football. And Jehu was fast tracked onto the Samoa team at 17.
Right.
Right? Chiefs is with DC Port of Spain. And we all know what Samoa is doing. And they're doing the right thing. And it's not that we don't know it in Trinidad. We have been preaching this for 20 years. But SSFL in Trinidad, that's where the gallery and the attention is.
Yeah. Yeah. So somebody put the name Kadeen Testriel. Testriel. So is that the guy who
I
you're talking
think that
about?
is his name. That is his
Yeah.
name.
So
Yes,
I
I
saw
think
two
he's with
people
Queen's
put his
Park.
name. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ismail, but I think he's with Queen's Park.
I
Um,
also AC Port Spain. I was trying to reach out to one of the players because I heard the commentators say it. They have a defender who plays with, I think it was St. Anthony's, and he started in their last game, and he did really well in the back. So
is it
I know we
John?
need some
Is
younger
it
defenders.
John by chance? There's a young defender called John.
I
Nah,
don't
sorry,
know.
that
I don't
John
know
like
why I'm thinking.
police. Sorry,
I don't
ignore
know
me.
why I'm thinking Nunez or something is his last name, but I need to get some more information on that.
Yeah.
So Mark asks, what are your thoughts on Central and Samuel Jablote performances this season? Are they back to their old selves?
Well, I am going to say, if not the old cells, pretty close to it. And you had to understand, they had a hell of a bounce back. They really had to kind of reset, you
Yeah,
know. And I think certainly it's true. There was a time, as you guys know, about 10 years ago, it was W Connection, Samoa, and Central for CFU. End of story. And I think they're getting there. They're getting there. I hate to see the good players just go away. I mean, I know why they're going away, money, better league, etc.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. Better
but
standard.
um,
Yeah,
it affects the club. Let's say in the next few months they would someone was to lose Garcia and Sween. It's going to affect them.
yeah. because I think that is exactly what took place with AC Port of Spain. They lost
Thank you.
a load of players.
Yes.
They have no midfield right now. They're kind
Hmm.
of struggling.
Hmm.
Nathaniel Garcia in there by himself. Um, so I mean, and that is why I asked from the start. And I think we need to kind of identify what we want. Is it that we want to have a holistic league, or we want to create a breeding ground for players to leave the country and get better? And I think it should ideally be that. So that is why I asked if you think is actually a developmental league, because we definitely see some teams, obviously Sanwo doing it, Point doing it to an extent because they have a lot of young players also.
Hmm.
Um, but some of the older teams, well, some of the more mature teams, I don't know how much they integrate in the younger players.
Well, to answer you, yes, you're right. It's exactly, you use the correct words there. I think we said developmental and what
Yeah,
was the other
and
word?
a retirement league.
Yes, and that is right. You see the older players like Molino and Joven and Mikael coming home, and they're performing, huh? They're performing, and at this level, and you see this at a higher level in Europe and so on. Like when those star boys start to get a little older, they move maybe from La Liga or EPL to Turkey or Greece, where it's a good standard of football, but not
Hmm.
the same. You know,
Right,
and
right.
that is what we are doing with our players. They come home, and let's face it, they are adding quality. Police overdo this last year. I'll lose count of how many over 30s they had. They had Willis Plaza, Kadeen Highland, they had Wolf, they had for a while Ball Pest Cummins, and on and on and on and on. And they dropped a lot of them, kept a
Yeah.
few. But all of those fellas, most of them were playing good football. Plaza, I don't know what Plaza was really doing there, but there were other fellas, Ball Pest Cummins, in my opinion, is one of the best defensive midfielders in the league. He has a wicked left foot from distance. Yeah, but you're quite right. And this is what a league like ours does. And as long as the players can't make money, as long as the clubs can't make money, we will always be a development. We're like fourth tier in England. It's heartbreaking. You need a man with money. I see Mr. Ferguson look like he have money. And I hope he could at least keep players. Ironically, the one man I call his club is the most underperforming club in the country. Right.
Somebody asked Seth Hadid, any good in your opinion?
I
I
have
put
not
I
seen a lot of
personally
Hadith,
don't.
so I
Yeah,
can't say. I'm sorry.
yeah, not sure either. I can't really talk much about him, Purnell. So sorry about that.
Well, let me tell you some fellas we could talk about. Some of
Yeah.
them young, some of them just real good, but not a lot of people talk about them. Marvin Foster, Sanjay Hugh. All right. We
Hmm.
know Garcia, Zum Zum Garcia. We know Swing. There's a fella called Figuera or Figaro. I think it's Figuera for Presence. The man hitting about 34, but he's a boss midfielder. He has a
Right.
fellow midfielder called Jeremiah Vidal. Jeremiah is going to be up 23 this year. I was talking about him 2 years ago. Very, very talented players. And the Eagles has some solid defenders. Prisons has some solid defenders. Can't remember the names off the top of my head. But these fellas play a good brand of football.
Okay.
Jabari Henry, um, you know,
Hmm.
playing for Central, a good solid right back. You know,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
we are knee deep with goalkeepers. You saw today's games. These fellas are playing for Trinidad, but they could keep, right?
Yes. Yeah. 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 They're
Right.
good. They're good. Right. So somebody mentioned Durrell on trial. Yeah. Yeah. We know Durrell on trial in Portugal. Don't know exactly who he is with. But we know he's out there. I tried to find out. I tried to reach out to one or two people, but even they don't know or they don't want to say. So I guess we just have to wait and see. If something comes out of it, if he gets signed with a club, we'd know. We always have our ears to the ground, so I guess once we know, you'll know.
I don't know why it has to be a secret, but I don't know. I mean, Sam was on trial and then he's on trial. You can't tell us who you're on trial with. What was he?
Yeah, yeah,
You
I
always
don't
have
know.
some kind of undercover trial. There's only Trinidad I know is do these things, yes?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. I had another question that I wanted to ask you. Somebody mentioned it a little bit earlier in terms of marketing. Hold on, let me scroll up through the chat. Marketing. Do you think we are doing enough to market? There's not a question in the chat. There's just me remembering. Do you think we are doing enough to market our football?
Are you talking about locally or
Yeah, yeah.
internationally?
No, in the league. Yeah, in the league.
Well,
Yeah.
part of it is using social media and TV. But I think one of the reasons is you have to have the quality to draw the fans, right?
Right.
When
Hmm.
I was a kid, it was very normal for 60,000 people to show up. Okay, kid, 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, 60,000 people to show up at a club match. They used to have night football at PSC in the St. James Long Circle area, not too far from that barracks ground. In fact, a couple
Hmm.
100 feet up the road from that ground.
Okay.
And a lot, why? Because we had the better players in Trinidad. So when Defense Force hit ASL, that's like Trinidad versus Trinidad. I mean, that there were like at least 16 Trinidad players on that field, right? Okay, it was a simpler time too, no internet, no satellite TV. Um, but I think part of the marketing is the quality of players you have.
Right.
And I think sometimes you can market the hell out of it, but you can't sell beer as wine. And I say that with respect,
Right. Right.
you know. So when fellas like Joven and Molino come home, if they could still perform, it adds a little allure to the league, right?
Right.
There's something I think would like to see them do. I told you about this fellow called Arthur Sweet. He had a team called ASL. Arthur used to bring down the best clubs in the world and flipping sell out national stadium. Sell out, eh? You had to sit on steps. In those days, you could oversell the stadium. And he would sometimes bring in four national players as guest players
Right.
to add to the quality of the match. I don't see why we can't have a club, one of the better clubs, Central or Samoa, do the same thing and draw in four national players and bring down a top-notch club like Inter Miami or some. I mean, it sounds incredible. This guy used to bring down the very best from Brazil,
Right.
right? The very best from England, Tottenham, Arsenal, Manchester, you know. And we sitting on and watching our players. All the fellas here about Lobo Joseph. You never saw Lobo Joseph father stood up against the Brazilians like a Rastafarian. God wouldn't let them get past him. And people bowling their head off in the national stadium. And all of a sudden, our footballers became our heroes. Nobody
Right.
wanted to talk Garth Crooks and Kevin Keegan or whoever the Brazilian was. Everybody wanted to be a John Granville, a Ron Laforee, a Sammy Llewellyn, Brian Williams, and fellas. So I
Right.
think
Right. Right.
sometimes you have to think outside the box a little bit. Maybe get an all-star 11 and bring down a top club. You may remember a few years ago, Beckham's team, LA, whoever the hell it was, LA
And the
Galaxy.
Galaxy. Yeah.
They had
Yeah.
already qualified for the next round of the CONCACAF. So when they came down, they ran basically a second 11. They rest 5, 6 players. But 5,000 people showed up to see our Trinidad club play them because it was LA Galaxy.
Right. 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 Right.
We have to think outside the box a little bit.
So that's a good point, and I think I mean, if it's anybody who is able to do it, might be our new national coach because he has a lot of the connections out there. So let's just hope and see how that goes.
That
So
is a very good point.
somebody asked me about Daniel Dinoon, and I hope that's how the name is pronounced, Dinoon. I've asked around in a couple groups, and they've said that his father is a Tobagonian, but online I haven't found any information about him. He is actually 21 and he is playing in Switzerland,
Yeah.
FC
All right.
Zurich. Yeah, but again, I'm not finding any information like the link online. But somebody said that his dad is a Tobagonian, so I'm really
Let
hoping
me
that we
just
scout him.
interject and tell you that in the 80s,
Hmm.
there were two top. Doing the Wikipedian while I'm talking to you. There were two top footballers in Trinidad, brothers or cousins, called Clyde Denoon and Nevic Bounterscore Denoon. I don't know. I think they both played for Defense Force. They both played for Trinidad. So it would be curious if this Denoon fellow is related to them. These were the top names, back in
Do you know if they're from Tobago?
that I do not know, but I'm sure some of the older fellas would know.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because Purnell mentioned that, and yeah, that's the information that I found out. He is from Tobago. His father is from Tobago, but I don't know. I'm not finding any other. But he is in Switzerland right now. Speaking of which, we have the Unity Cup coming up. Somebody told me today, and again, I don't know how true, yes or no. They said that Rio Cardines got the call. So I am hoping that coach reaching out to the European players for that. Um, Again, I don't know. Do you think we're doing enough? Because I saw a video and I made a little video on it the other day. Do you think we are marketing it enough? Because think about it. Two Caribbean teams playing two African teams in the Mecca, or what some people call the Mecca of football, England.
Yes.
So do you think we are doing enough knowing that to really be pushing it and marketing it enough? How many people really Yeah, I'll just leave that question there. What do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think?
you're talking about the tournament. I think that
Yes.
the focus will be on in England,
Hmm.
to get the multicultural crowd to show up, right?
Yeah.
And we've got four major countries. You've got the Africans, the two Africans and the two Caribbean. And I live in Toronto, which is very much like London and Manchester. It's super multicultural. And sometimes more people show up for the opposite, the outside team than the home country's team. That's
Right.
how multicultural they are. So I think the marketing would be done in England, not so much in Trinidad.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Maybe somebody might want to travel. I could see people in Europe perhaps wanting to travel. Yeah, but I think the real marketing would be done in England.
So, do you think there will be benefit to having this same tournament brought to the Caribbean next time?
Oh, that's an obvious yes. People show up for quality. People show up for
Right.
quality, right? You also have to understand too that when we play against these people, if we play well or we have a player that plays well, this is where the contract offers comes. I'll give you an idea. I told you Sweet brought down a lot of people in the 80s. What we did not know back then, because the journalists perhaps didn't have their finger on the button and no internet, and two guys got contracts with Stoke. John Granville, the goalkeeper from Tobago, who played for ASL, and a fellow called Maurice Alabi, who ASL took from Barataria ball players. And they went and played professional football. And so nobody talked about it in Trinidad. I found
Oh.
out about that after the fact years later, researching them on the internet. And
Okay.
Granville stayed back in England and became a decent football goalkeeping coach with Stoke and other teams. So the idea is, yeah, because you see what's going to happen is that you then get noticed.
Right.
Okay, when
Hmm.
Trinidad played a proliferation of warm-up games for the strike squad, between 87 and 89, Brian Williams, the right back, the Rasta man, he was offered a trial or contract. I think it was trials with the Nacional of Uruguay. And
Okay.
he actually turned it down because they wanted to focus on World Cup qualifying at that point. How did Dwight York get discovered? Again, warm-up exhibition match against Aston Villa. And yeah, he got his chance. Not just him. There was another Tobagonian who went with him. I believe his name was Colvin Hutchinson. He didn't make, but at least they noticed him and he got his chance.
Right. Right. Right.
This is
Right.
what
Right.
happens when we play these games. These players get noticed.
Agreed. Agreed. So I've been bringing up a name recently, and I see people asking about him here. Darren Payne. Obviously, they've now qualified for top flight. They've been promoted back into top flight,
Right. Yeah.
Dutch football. He is a right-sided defender, and I think he would do fantastic for us because, and this is my point to it. I think Alvin Jones does great work for us, but I'm at the point now where I'm questioning: is Alvin Jones still a defender for us, or is he more of a right-sided midfielder for us? Because he looks fluid going forward,
Right.
and he definitely could own that spot. And when you're looking at some of the teams, they realize that he likes to go forward, and you would see most of the attack coming on his side because they know that at some point he is going forward and leaving that gap. And more than once, we've seen that where they run on his side. So I think it's definitely worth a conversation if where we should play Alvin because we definitely have a place for him still.
Yes.
Um, and could this guy cover or be the coverage that we need in the back? They're on pain.
Well, one thing we know, Dwight can strip it. Dwight know football,
Mhm.
and even if Dwight wasn't in the mix, people don't know sometimes. But the Trinidad TTFA or whoever actually is doing their scouting. They just don't talk about it. I remember years ago because I heard through the grapevine years ago on a football chat telling the fellas, well, there's this fella called Walcott. I believe that was his name, playing for Villa. He's ex-England under 19, and right now they're looking at him, they're talking to him, and they say, that ain't true, man. You must be working for the FA. You're trying to defend them. I said, no, no, no. And a few years later, yes, he did play for Trinidad, right? I just
Right.
happened to get that information from somebody who was on the inside. So sometimes they're looking at people and we just don't know. And I cannot believe that this fella is not being looked at. And my hope is, if not, as soon as the season, I believe season is finishing in Netherlands right now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would have him come over to the team and train, right? Because
Hmm.
we have World Cup qualifiers. Just train and see how you fit in, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
If he fits in, I mean, I know they could fast track our passport. I would certainly, I mean, there's common sense to have a look at someone like this,
Yeah.
right? And I cannot believe that in the last 6 or 10 months, Dwight has not made an overture, like, let's have a chat, let's see what's going on, you know, because we definitely need some outside talent, and we're getting some fellas, but I'll be honest with you, sometimes they're the best we have and they're trying hard, but we need to do better, especially with up front. And what you just said is good. Nothing wrong with having a good, solid defender that allows Alvin to roam.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alvin can roam and he rooms well. And I'll tell you something, Alvin is a good defender, but you're right. Sometimes when you're rooming, somebody will have to fall back for you. But that's
Yes,
what you want from your defenders. You want a rooming defender. Brian Williams was such a player. What was his name, boy? Rolls Royce. Carlos Edwards became a rooming defender in later years. I mean, anybody who's a good defender is a roofing defender. In other words, you can go up front and do things.
yeah,
And if you can have cover, even if the fella comes off the bench or something, but it's nice to know you have that kind of depth all of a sudden on the right. Because nobody could shoot a ball like Alvin. We all know that, right?
correct. Um, Somebody asked here, where was it? Who are the likely players to play for us if the law changes? To be quite honest, I don't know how many players we would get otherwise in terms of grandparent law. I probably haven't searched enough, but I don't know how much that will actually do for us, to be quite honest. Um, and I know we like to talk about young players. I want to leave one name with you that you could always check up afterwards. Lakyle Samuel.
Is that any relation to J. Lloyd Samuel?
Correct. That's his son, who is the captain of Man City on the 17 team right now. Or
Say
on
the
the
name again,
20.
boss.
Lakyle. Lakyle. I'll put it in chat also, so you could always look back at it.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's actually playing in the same tournament that Rio Cardines played in, and Rio Cardines scored the other day to move them on to the semis. And he is a defender for his Man City that made it to the semis also. So yeah, somebody said that he played for England youth team. Obviously, I know he would because he's the captain of Man City team, but is definitely. I'm sure we could have a conversation with that person. No guarantees that they have to play for us anyway, but I'm always kind of looking to see who are some of the young players eligible for us, and that's just because of his dad. Um, so that is not even grandparent law. So I struggle a bit to find
The
players that
reality is with the grandparent law, it will widen the net, which
correct.
you can't go wrong with that.
But I mean, I haven't seen or haven't really come across any that good enough to say, yeah, we definitely need to widen our net for this player. I haven't found that person as yet.
Mhm.
Probably there are, but I haven't found them as yet.
Well, that's the thing. It's all about being able to know who these fellas are. What they can do, etc., etc.
True.
And some of them, boy, they fall out through the net because I don't know unless somebody scout them. And I live in Canada. My friend, this is a sidetracking of it. He's from Dominican Republic. His son was the number one striker in the city of Kitchener, which is about at least 250,000 people.
Right.
And he talked to the coach in his country. They say show him a video. They never got around to it. They just did not seem enthusiastic about it. And so sometimes these fellas, for their own reason, unless you run after them, they just move on. I guess maybe to his Canada, and this fellow was multifaceted as an athlete. He turned to basketball, but sometimes too, they fall through the cracks. If you guys ever heard of Colin Rock, he was a contemporary of Russell Latapy, right up there with Latapy, Leonson Lewis, Marvin Foster, and Hudson Charles.
Okay.
Won the World Cup as a university player, played MLS, played A League, got a contract offer in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And they never call him off a national trials. Can you imagine that? Santos of Brazil wanting you, offering you a contract, and you will not offer this man a trial. I have the article. Go on my website, Hill Carrot Sport. You'll see Colin Rock,
Right.
ex-CMC boy. I don't know what to say about that.
Scott Seeley's son, I saw somebody mention his name, Dante
Yes.
Seeley. He is playing for CF Montreal right now, MLS. Which wing he plays on? I think is he right? Yeah, because he cuts in from the right. He's a good option also, but again, we don't know if he's holding out for US or.
I
But
think we know the answer to that. I think the answer is yes. He is holding out. I can't blame him. I'm completely selfish. I hope they blank him and he'll come and play for us. That's all.
Jaden Sancho, I saw somebody mention his name, but yeah, he passed the amount of caps that you're supposed to be able to play for one country. I think you're allowed up to 3 caps with a national team before you switch. And I think he has like 11. Um, and I agree with Prince. CF Montreal, bottom of the MLS. So he definitely not gonna get called up for the US team. And I agree. I agree. And as Vassine said, hopefully he make this switch and realize he could still get to play a World Cup. Um, Tino Kwamina, that is a name that I saw. He played for Arsenal. He played for us U20, but he got injured. Is it that he's because I've never heard about him after that though? When he left there, yes, he was injured, but I don't know if it was a permanent injury or he just stopped playing football. But that is a young player who could have done well for us also as a defender. Um, So we just crossed an hour. I didn't really want to keep you much longer than an hour of a scene because I know it's Sunday and
Yeah.
most of us have things to do
You
early
know what
Monday,
what
early
you're
Monday
doing here
morning.
is very nice, and I have to congratulate you on that because I started the PFL Facebook page because there was such a void by the original people.
Yeah,
And like that what you do, what I do, what that fella call himself Scully does, it
yeah,
fills a void, eh? And you see people showing up for this thing, and they had about 19 just now, 18 now. So
yeah.
obviously people interested, they want to hear it, and it gives us a nice forum to discuss our football, and maybe we get a little info here and there that
True,
we could share, maybe pass it on to the TTFA. Sometimes they don't know everything.
true. Yeah. So I agree. Thanks very much. Keston Julian, that's $1 million question because he was doing well. He was playing, and then I think he came back to Trinidad and you just never heard about him after that. Keston Julian, so I really don't know. But yeah, again, I don't really want to prolong it too much. We could probably do a next one next week or something, or again.
Sure thing, sure
Um,
thing.
so again, thanks for everyone who was on the live tonight with us. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for pushing the information. I'm on Keston Julian in Borody. I don't know how true that is, yes or no. So I'm not gonna answer that. Um, Singh said that
All
he's
right.
going. Singh said he's going to start a podcast. Singh, anytime you're ready and you have information, you reach out to me and we could do something together. I have no problem with that at all. But again, thanks very much and do enjoy your night. Let's keep pushing Trinidad and Tobago football in any way that we could because we have a hectic season coming up. We have an amazing year and a World Cup to qualify for. So let's all keep looking and as Vassine said, let's help the TTFA because the more we get behind it is hopefully just the better that we could do. So with that, I would say thank you all and do have a blessed night.
All right, same to you, boss. Thanks for the
All right.
podcast. Take care.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.